Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. On this video, I'm going to tackle a bunch of little stuff that I have to do to my 84 T-top, switching out wheels and tires with my other 84 here, and then I get to start working on the 87 over here. I'm going to drop the fuel tank, see what's in it, see what I need to order, so then we can get on with first start and hopefully hear this thing run for the first time in 12 years. So let's get to it. It's a scorcher today, but I'm outside and I've put about 35 miles on my 84 T-top and it needs tires bad. But I need to swap them out right now just so I can continue driving and enjoy them. I've got some Mickey Thompsons on the front of my 84 Astro roof, and since I'm not going to be touching this engine, since I'm not going to be ready to drop this engine in the car for a little bit longer, I can switch out wheels and tires and then deal with getting new tires when that's ready. And of course, then I'll switch back because I love these style wheels. I just hate the tires that they're sitting on. And let's take a look at the date code on these tires and we'll find out why. Unfortunately, this one does not have the date code on the outside. Oh, wow. Look at this. 1001. So these tires were manufactured in the 10th week of 2001. 22-year-old tires. I'm not going to trust these any longer. I'm going to put on the fresh rubber on those, and we'll be good to go. Switching over to the tank, I'm using a motorcycle jack, a 15mm socket, and an extension. I used to use a regular jack, but having a wide lifting platform like this motorcycle jack really helps balance the tank, especially when it's full of fuel. On each side toward the front, there's a 15mm bolt with a spacer. Once you zip those off and they're out of the way, the tank can come right on down. Yeah, it's got a few gallons in there, maybe about 5 gallons. Now, when you start to take this thing apart, you're gonna assume that this is wired correctly, or you're gonna assume that this is plumbed correctly, and you should mark it as such. That way you'll always know how it goes back together. Take pictures, mark it with tape if you have to. Just commit this to some form of memory, because you're going to see 3 lines, and even though they're of different sizes, they're really only off by 1/8 and 1/16 of an inch. So make sure you're hooking them back up the right way, or else you're going to be in a world of hurt. You're not going to be able to figure out what's wrong with your car. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mark each side of this rubber. So I'll have 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to cut them right here, because there's no way I'm replacing the sending unit, replacing the pump, and I'm not replacing the lines. That's not happening. Okay, so I made a quick video to myself explaining which line goes where and what sizes they are. So I'm gonna hold on to that. When I go back to reassemble it, I'm not gonna be solely working off of my old memory. Let's get this thing inside where it's cool, and we can start to unpack whatever's inside of here. You guys won't believe what I just saw. Check it out. I just saw this box in the upper corner, and after working on several of these, I know that that's not stock. Check out what it says. Now, check out what's on this exhaust pipe. We can shoot flames out of this car. I can't wait to get this thing running. I'm testing that out ASAP. So I finally got the tank out, and 2 things come to mind as soon as I whiffed the smell of this fuel. One, maybe 15 years ago, I used to buy bikes that needed carb work that sat for a year or 2 and had that varnish fuel smell. And that's what this smells like right now. So it brought me back to the early 2000s really quickly. And number 2, just thinking about it, this would have probably ran as is. It wouldn't have ran well, but it may have ran when just fired up right out of the gate, because this is not the worst, fuel smell that I've had. So let me clean it off so then we can get it onto our workbench. All right, so let's get this fuel sending unit out of here. What we're gonna do is, you see the lighter colored ring here? We're gonna tap it in a circular direction this way so that it releases out from under these tangs. So you see one tang, two tang, and there's a third one right over here. You gotta rotate it this way or counterclockwise in order to free up the sending unit underneath it. So I'll just go right here, make sure I don't damage any wires, and I'll hit the blunt side of this screwdriver until it starts to rotate. Remember, that's what we're aiming for. And it's starting to move a little odd. So I'm gonna go to another tang and hit that. You see how it's rotating now? We're on a good path. We just continue on. There we go. Gonna make sure everything is free. There it is. Pull this bad boy out. Wow. That's bad. Oh, it smells a lot worse than I thought. Wow. And it's totally rusted. Okay, so at this point, I'm gonna seal that back up because we're done. There's no saving this. Just trying to prevent all of the fumes from stinking up the garage. And even if money is tight, don't spend hours trying to clean out the inside of the tank, get around these baffles, rust-proof the sending unit. Like, no. Your time is gonna be more valuable than what it costs to replace this, especially if you have a Grand National. So we're gonna get a replacement tank that's correct for fuel injection. We're going to get a sending unit that's correct for a digital dash, probably a 340 fuel pump, because looking at some of the upgrades that are on the car, it's going to need more fuel than a stock pump can provide. And we're gonna get new lines. And of course a new cap as well, because if you look at this cap, it's seen better days too. So we've reached a stopping point right now. Let's wait a few days. Let's get all of the supplies and materials in, and then we can hit this tank back hard. All right, got some parts from Rock Auto. Unfortunately, this is how they ship them nowadays. I guess it isn't all that damaged, right? It's the fuel system components I need for that bad boy. So let's move some stuff around and we can get working on it. Now, if you think this looks like a little bit more than just fuel stuff, you are right. There are some AC components in here, like the entire compressor kit that comes with the accumulator and all of that, and the orifice tube. I'll show that on the 84T in a future video, but everything else is all for the fuel system. And I also got a Deatschwerks 340 fuel pump. I'm gonna be using that on this as well. So let's get everything unboxed and mocked for install. All right, on to installation. So I was really impressed with everything that I received from Rock Auto and from Amazon. The Deatschwerks kit was complete, wasn't missing anything. Same thing with the Spectre fuel system. It made installation a breeze. This fuel sending unit, it's a 0 to 90 ohm system, so it's not meant for my digital dash car, but it'll be good enough to work for now. And if I plan everything right, I may not even be using the factory dash. In any case, I take the Deatschwerks pump, I install it like so. The Deatschwerks kit does come with clamp style fuel line clamps, but I didn't use those because my tool is broken. So I used traditional worm style clamps, and it worked well. The hose supplied in the kit, it is fuel rated, but it's just a 1/4 of an inch too short. So I end up switching it out. You can also bend the bottom of the fuel sending unit to accommodate it. But once you get everything tightened in place, it should be all good to go. So the fuel strainer, that white and yellow piece that goes at the bottom of your pump, it just snaps on. It's a really tight fit. And then there's that little lock washer there that you just have to snap in place, and that'll hold everything together. I didn't get a good video on this, but it's really self-explanatory, and I use a pick tool to get it into position. All right, next stop is wiring. If you go to somebody like Reassembly and you buy their entire fuel sending unit and pump kit, something like that is really drop in and go. It's really plug and play. You don't have to do any wiring to it. But because I bought my components separately, I had to custom make some type of harness to get power to the pump. So the Deatschwerks power wires, I cut those. I also cut the wiring that's coming off of the Spectre fuel sending unit, and I used these heat shrink butt connectors to make the connections solid between them. I looped the wire around long enough so if I ever needed to clean up connections in the future or recrimp future connections, those are available to me. But it's still out of the way enough not to get in the way of any moving parts or any other wiring. So it was really easy, just skimming back the wires, making sure you're not exposing too much wire, and just crimping everything in place. These heat shrink connectors were included in the Deatschwerks kit, so they are available for use, and that just goes to the testament of how well this unit is kitted. I didn't have any heat shrink connectors handy, so that basically saved me a trip to the store. And if you want to go next level, you can also put shrink tubing on top of it, but it looked pretty robust, so I doubt any of that's needed. And here's a 360 view of the entire fuel pump assembly before I put everything back in. Like I said, I got a longer fuel hose, and this Deatschwerks kit, it doesn't have an insulator for the pump, you know, like that little cozy style thing. So we didn't use that. I did use a zip tie to secure the wiring and keep that out of the way. So then I just put the strainer back on, and it was nice and easy to drop everything back into the pump. You just rotate it real easy. You make sure that nothing is getting nicked or damaged on your way down. I have that O-ring seal already on the pump, so no worries there. The tank is ready for installation, and I just want to show you a couple pointers. We have our harness right here, and then we have 3 lines coming off. We have fuel flow, which is the closest one to the connector. This is 3/8 of an inch. This is my vent, which is 1/4 inch, and here is the return line, which is 5/16. It does go into a 1/4 inch in some areas, but what you need to know right at the center is this is 5/16. And you want to make sure you get fuel line that is rated for what we're doing here. So go to AutoZone, request fuel line specifically. It's going to be more expensive than windshield washer fluid and vacuum hoses, but it won't disintegrate, it won't contaminate the rest of your fuel system. You'll be good to go. So I got 2 feet long, so this should be more than enough. I'll cut off any excess once we get on the car. All right, so today it is 96 degrees. It feels like 100. I left my creeper on the ground for 2 minutes, and it was too hot to sit on. So I am motivated to get this done. I have 3 old crusty fuel lines that I need to pop off. So I pop those off, and I clean up the metal ends so I can get my new rubber on there. I'm thinking that I'm gonna need maybe a foot for each line. So I'm just gonna eyeball it, cut it, and then use that. After that, there are the tank rubber insulators. They wrap all the way around the tank and prevent the straps from rusting to the tank. I just get those into position. Then I can attach my straps and get everything sucked back in and bolted to the surface. All right, so gotten the fuel pump and the tank all installed. Now we're at the point where we're almost ready for first start. Now, I haven't done anything underneath the hood yet, but I do have a Walmart battery that I plan to install. We'll take a quick look around, make sure everything looks good, and then we'll start her up. All right, I'm about to touch the final battery terminal on here. Let's make sure nothing fires up. Okay, hear my power antenna going. Let me disconnect that. Okay, I don't know where the antenna plug is. Usually on the 84s, it's right there. I don't see it right now. I'll investigate that later.
It's time for me to go. Do you have gasoline?
Mm-hmm.
I just learned a trick to how to get wax to dye.
All right, so I don't like the way this air filter looks, so I'm gonna take it off right here and let it suck at least clean air in until I can get a replacement. Everything looks clean there. I'm also going to take a look underneath here and make sure that the throttle body looks clean. I don't want it sucking in anything. Okay, everything here looks good. I'm going to reconnect it all because I want the intercooler and all of the MAF to be reading the same thing as it goes into the engine. All right, so Joe mentioned that there should be an unlock sequence to disable the alarm. Okay, so that's armed. I'm guessing that means unlocked or disarmed. Let's see. Uh-oh. Okay, disarmed. Okay, so the security light is flashing right now, but we're gonna give it a start anyway. Take a look inside here. Look at all these gauges. This thing is crazy. We've got air temperature, trans temp, air fuel ratio, voltage, RPM, and boost. I got nothing coming up on the dash display. And of course I got coolant temp and maybe oil pressure here. Oh, this is a really nice unit. Okay, let's see. Okay. I don't think I'm getting enough voltage from this battery. So let me clean my terminals, reconnect everything. We'll try it again. All right, so let's recap what's going on. We're getting a no start condition. The security light is flashing and the car is not making any attempt to start, even when we're getting 13 volts at the battery. I've even tried my jump starter. I don't want to go underneath the car and take a look at the purple wire that's on the starter, the one that initiates the start. So what I'll do is I'll come underneath the dash, take a look at the starter interrupt relay on the security circuit, and bypass it. That way we'll get full voltage right to the purple wire that goes to the starter, and hopefully it'll start up. To do that, we'll come underneath the dash, and there should be a couple of 10mm bolts or 8mm bolts. One is right here. The other one's supposed to be over there, but it doesn't look like anything is there. So let's get this one off. Okay, so in all this mess, I think I found the relay. This looks to be it. Going to pry back this wire right here. Here's what it looks like. Looking at those wires here, the purple one and the purple and white one pins A and D. Those are the two that need to be jumped. That will send current right to the starter, regardless of the security light being on. I went to the garage and made a quick jumper. I can just connect those to terminal A and terminal D of this relay harness, and then we can try it again. Okay. All right, that's all connected. Let me grab my keys. We'll try it again. Okay, that worked. Is the fuel pump priming at least? I don't hear the fuel pump priming. Only getting 9 volts. I think I need to clean up these terminal connections. All right, so it's day 2. I'm back with the 87, and hopefully this is the day that we get first start out of this thing. I've heard it spin over, and I've turned it over by hand, so we know the motor's free, but we're not getting enough voltage to really get that starter turning and for the fuel pump to prime the system. So what I've gotten are 2 new battery terminals. I'm hoping that installation of those can get this thing to fire up. Let's see what's all to it. So I'm hoping that replacement of these and just a general cleanup of all this area will help. I just want to get this vehicle moving just a little bit so I can get it closer to the garage and we can really clean up underneath the hood and get things going. I hate to work on the car in this condition, but it's kind of a necessary step to see where I'm at and to get it closer to our working space. This is a real common upgrade to get away from those GM proprietary battery terminals. So it's a warm welcome to see this here, but it's not nice to see its current condition. So let's switch these out with the brand new ones. We've gone with something similar, but just in gold. And we think this will make a really solid connection. Out with the old and in with the new. We've gotten everything wired up here. Let's pop in our battery and see what we get. All right. And just in case we need a little extra boost, I charged the battery last night, but nothing like being sure. I wish I could disconnect the fan that's right down there. It's sucking up all my battery voltage. Uh-oh. I definitely didn't need that fan coming on, but I guess. Okay. Let's see what we get. Security light is still flashing, but that still stands as bypassed. Doesn't sound good. I'm not getting any fuel pressure. If you look right there, nothing's popping up. I'm not sure what that sound is underneath the hood. If you don't have one of these, you really do need them. It's a power probe, and it's like a digital multimeter, but when it comes to voltage, it's really powerful because you can apply power and ground all from the touch of a button. So it's really handy to have. It's not a total replacement for a multimeter because it doesn't measure resistance and all of that good stuff, but it's a really good tool in your arsenal. So we're gonna try hooking this one up to the fuel pump at the back of the car and seeing if we get some fuel pump priming there. All right, so fuel filters changed. I'm a little concerned that I broke through that rusty fuel line. Hopefully there wasn't any damage done by that. We'll be able to tell by a pool starting to form right after I hit the key. Hopefully not, because I don't want to have to change out a fuel line here. If that's the case, I may just have to pull this thing into the shop so I could start working on it there. But let's see. Hopefully we got it started now. Okay, I'm still not getting any fuel pressure up here, so let's see. And yep, I called it. I did a little bit too much, and now that line is leaking. All right, off to plan B. All right, and a quick trip to AutoZone. I may have what I need to solve this problem. It's a Dorman fuel repair kit, and it's the right thread and pitch to replace what is rusted out on the car. So I'm gonna screw this into the fuel line. I'm going to put a hose onto the other end and connect it to some good known fuel line, and then we can start it back up. It's important to note, this is only a temporary fix. I only wanna move the car for now. Once I get it up and running and all about, then I can drop $500 on new fuel lines from front to back. But I want you guys to hear it start up in this episode. I'm really trying to, so watch me work. All right, so there was a 13mm bolt holding the clip and the line right underneath here. I got that loose. So what I have clamped with my vise is the remainder of the line, right? So it broke off at this point, and this was the other end of it. So I need to cut this back just a smidge. I want to get a real smooth point here, and then I'm gonna connect the line to this fuel filter right here. Should be all set. Okay, so that leak is taken care of. Let's try to start it up and see what we get. Matter of fact, I can grab my fuel pressure gauge and we can see together if we're building pressure. Okay, hopefully that works. Okay, so right now it's on 0. Oh, we're building a little bit of pressure there. That's good. Oh. Oh, man. Well, something just shut down. Caused everything in here to go dark. Let's see what I broke. Maybe the cable's just loose. Yeah. Yeah, I think the cable's just loose. Let me tighten that up and we'll try again. Okay, here we go. We'll try it again. Round 10. Okay, so I got enough fuel in the tank and I know I fixed that leak, so I'm not sure what's going on here. But what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna use my power probe. I'm gonna use the gray wire. This is the 12-volt fuel supply wire. And as I apply power, let's look underneath the car and see what happens. Well, found another leak. It's leaking further up, I'd say right behind the wheel well. So we got another line to fix. I'm getting a little bit tired of this. And I'm sorry to say that's where we have to end the video. I wasn't able to get it running outside, but as you can see here, I did pull it inside. I've gotten the fuel tank dropped. So on the next episode that I expect to be uploaded this week as well, we'll finally get new lines all the way in the car from front to back. So we're gonna take care of everything. We're not gonna patch it up anymore. We're gonna do it right. And I'm gonna show you how to get it done for under 300 bucks. So Watch me on my next video. We'll tackle this one. Thanks for watching. Talk to you on the next one.